Welcome to Certain Point of View, your first step into a much nerdier world. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on iTunes. Just go to certainpov.com. Thanks. And now your hosts, Ben Milton and Addy Thomas.
Hey Nerferders, I'm Addy Thomas.
And I am Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View. Today we are going to be talking about Wonder Woman. Before we get to that, today we are joined by Case and for the first time Carter.
Hello.
Hey Nerferders.
And
welcome.
David Dickerson.
Good to be back, guys. Thank you for having me.
Has been here for a while. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I haven't been here for a little bit.
So we just saw Wonder Woman. Before we get to that, don't forget you can check out everything from Weight Loss, Civil War, which
Ben is actively losing right now.
He is just trying.
He's just handfuls of candy, literally. You can't put Sour Patch Kids and Swedish Fish in front of me. Period.
Are you just trying to go for a more dramatic victory as possible?
Just come from behind victory.
Yeah,
this is the always lost moment in the movie.
And all of a sudden he just gets his leg amputated for the weight loss challenge.
60 pounds!
Anyway, you can follow the things that we are doing right in Weight Loss Civil War are on our website, certainpov.com, along with all of our social media. Again, certainpov.com. All right, guys, Wonder Woman. We just got out of this movie, and of course, as you know, for any podcast that we do, there are going to be spoilers. So for whatever weird reason you haven't already seen the movie, or if you want to hold off on spoilers, turn away now.
Turn away, don't look. 3,
That's all the show you
2,
get.
1.
Yep.
All right, I liked it.
Yeah, I did too.
Carter, what did you think?
I liked it a lot.
You liked it a lot.
Yes, I liked it a lot. I think that for somebody who hasn't followed all of the comic lore and history of the character, I think that it's still easy to pick up and kind of. I was worried that there were going to be aspects of the character that are dated that were included in the movie, but I think they did a good job of walking the line.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, actually. That's a fair assessment.
I do miss them riding kangaroos on Paradise Island. Like,
Wait, are you serious? That was a thing?
How about the invisible jet? There was no invisible jet.
No invisible jet.
How do you know there wasn't an invisible jet?
That's true. That's true.
This is set in World War I instead of World War II. Can you imagine invisible biplane?
But I heard that the director said that if they do the invisible jet, it's going to be in the second one.
Well, I was wondering, I guess we already gave the spoiler warning. In the final scene, when she jumps off the tower into the air, she could land on an invisible jet.
Right, this is hovering there right above Paris. I kind of was looking for that too, to be honest.
Yeah. David, what did you think?
Of the movie in general?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. I'll put it on record, I loved it.
Loved it. Okay.
I'm giving it an 8 or a 9 out of 10. 8 or a 9 out of 10.
I'd say that is strong, but I liked it a lot.
I feel like 7 or 8 out of 10 for me. I liked it. I can't really, I don't have any major issues.
Addy wanted more skin, he would have given it.
Yeah, that was thanks, guys. I thought Ben was going to be our sexist today.
Turns out it's you.
I'm here to balance all that.
Yeah.
So
You didn't want more skin from Steve Trevor? I mean,
No,
we had a nice...
There was an extended
Chris Pine
sequence
does not
where he
do it
was
for
using
me.
his hand as a loincloth. It was
pretty sweet, I'm not gonna lie.
Actually, that's a good point to lead into. I really liked Chris Pine as Steve Trevor. I was very surprised at how much I liked him in this movie.
Silence.
Ben, you're just going to... I
feel like Case, you're on an invisible island by yourself right now.
All right,
No.
cool. Yeah.
No, I'm messing with you.
That's impressive. All right.
Steve Trevor is a very difficult character to do, and I know it's a Wonder Woman movie. We're going to move on to the main subject in a second, but I think Chris Pine was very engaging as this character, and instead of just being a passive figure or
Lois Lane.
Basically male Lois Lane.
it's almost like it was a multi-dimensional supporting character.
I know, right?
I wonder if that's because he was a man.
But Steve Trevor has always been
No
difficult
comment.
to do, and especially any sort of prequel story is going to have an awkward love interest regardless because it's a movie. They're going to do some kind of love interest, and it's the same way that Peggy Carter and Captain America, you knew this wasn't going to work because it's a flashback movie. So was Steve Trevor going to die? 100%. The second the movie started, I was like, he's going to die by the end.
Yeah.
There's no scenario where he doesn't die because at the very least he's dead from old age by the time we get to the future. So the way that they used him as a nice character beat, and one where him being like complex, like they set it up throughout the movie where he has a lot of like, he has a dark side to him, like he's killed people, he's a spy, he lies and so forth, but ultimately he is humanity as a whole. He is the average man, as they keep joking about it, and taken to
The above
extent.
average man.
Well, yeah, but like that's the point. He's the one who doesn't give in to the hatred. Like ultimately he sacrifices himself.
That's because he just slept with a god. Your day is as good as it's gonna get. There's nowhere to go after that. Like,
That is, I peaked. I'm done.
I'm out. Like, what else do I have to do for? Like, it's as good as it
Blaze of
gets.
glory.
I feel like he should have said it though. They should have been like, "No, Steve, don't light the match." And he should have been like, "Guys,
Really?
I had sex with a guy."
I'm good.
Peace out.
Deuces.
But that's all I really have to say about Steve Trevor. Really, like I thought
He was fine.
I was really impressed with Chris Pine's performance, and I thought they wrote the character really well, and he was a good motivating factor for Diana as Wonder Woman. Like, so let's move on to her.
Well, before we move on, I don't think he was necessarily what you said. I think he was more so, he kind of just mostly gave her insight and was kind of somewhat of a moral compass into explaining how morality works outside of Themyscira. So he's like, this is how I feel, this is how evil is, this is how it's, misplaced, this is how war is used, and this is why I'm fighting. I know you're trying to figure out your own reasons. I'm just trying to help you figure them out by coming along with
Yeah, he acts as a little bit of a guidepost into humanity. Yeah. But I think ultimately, like, and that's sort of the Addy mentioned this on the car ride home, is that sort of like the ending theme of the music is, or of the movie is, which was refreshing, and we've talked a lot about this, which is like the duality of man, is that there's great potential for good and there's also great potential for evil in each one of us. And the movie like is Diana coming to terms with that and recognizing that and kind of trying to figure out her place and how to deal with that, because like with her, she's pure good. Like there's nothing but good in her. So
I think it's like a loss of innocence, like
Yeah.
her experience with him is both the good and the bad loss of innocence, like literally in that they have sex, but also in that like he shows her kind of inadvertently like all of the bad parts of humanity that she wasn't aware of before.
let me ask you this. Do you think they needed to have the sex?
No, and I was thinking the whole time, like, I almost wish that there wasn't a love story. Like, I understand
See?
that that's
That's what I said
from.
too.
I understand that that's from the comics, or at least
Right.
that's what I infer.
Right.
But sometimes in movies like this, I find it gratuitous. Like an example would be Thor and whatever Natalie Portman's character is. Like that was just like, again, I have not followed. Is it Jane? Is her name Jane?
Yeah.
So, but like gratuitous. Like I don't think that was the same thing here. I think that having a relationship helped both of the characters to grow, which is like ideally what you'd want. But I don't know. I did feel a little bit like, oh God, really? Like it has to. And at the end, I agree with everything she says, where she's like, this is the true thing. But it's like, why is she the only superhero who says like it's all about the power of love? Do you know what I mean? I was like, that's true.
Because it doesn't work for Batman.
Well, especially not with that voice.
I honestly think that would scare the Joker if he like grabbed him and was like,
Right.
he's like, he's like,
I love
power of love. Damn it.
We are one.
Right.
You are the same, and I love you. I'm gonna
Move
do
to
that to Jenny.
Metropolis,
I'm gonna
bye.
go home to Jenny
But I mean,
tonight
I
and
think
try
I
that.
think there are a lot of like major themes throughout about like femininity and sexuality, about being a woman, about motherhood. Her whole like, oh my God, a baby. Like I know that that's like a recurring thing for the character, is like she doesn't have children. Like her, the way that she was conceived was not through like.
Well, she's never seen a child.
Well, and she's never seen a child except for she was the only child in Themyscira. Is that how you say that?
That was good, yeah.
Themyscira.
Close enough.
So I mean, I think there are some big themes about that, and then I think in the costume design too, like it was hitting me in the face the whole time with the big V on her forehead. You guys read the Da Vinci Code? Like that's the sacred feminine, the holy chalice. So she's like literally the definition of like female deity, and that's carried throughout in her costume and all of like the symbolism throughout.
Right. Yeah. Totally. But that. Yeah. And I mean, then that's carried through from the comic books and how they designed her. It's not like they went out of their way to create that for the movie. But
Well, no, but that's always been a weird thing with like the history of Wonder Woman. It's been the design of the character. Like they'll go at times where it's more, something a little bit more conservative, and all of a sudden people will be outraged about it, and then it'll go. It's always been kind of back and forth with how
sexy they make her.
Yeah, with how her costume's been received. So, and I think this one just hit the right balance. I mean, it made sense for a warrior, so it worked.
No, it doesn't. But okay.
For Amazon
mostly
warriors,
fine, yeah.
I mean, it was better than a lot of the other ones that I've seen.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of things that are not practical about her outfit. But I wasn't expecting it to. At the beginning, when she's a child, she's wearing something that's like so much more practical.
Right. Yeah.
And then as the women grow up and become sexualized, then they are all of a sudden wearing like topless armor with nothing. I mean, not topless,
protect them.
strapless
Yeah.
armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she even talked about it when she was in that whole changing room scene. She's like, I need something functional where I can move and fight.
Right.
She's like, how am I gonna stop the war
So let
in
me
a
put
pencil
on,
skirt?
Yeah.
So let me put on this bathing suit.
Well, I mean, at least you can make
it's
the
two
argument that
different
it's not
extremes.
restrictive, which
Yeah,
is
okay.
the one argument in favor I could give for the majority of the skin showing on that. Actually, you bring up the childhood flashback, and that's probably my biggest problem with this movie, though.
Why?
I hated the flashback. I thought the first 10 minutes of this movie was so boring.
Really?
Is this your way of saying you don't want to have kids? We'll be back after this.
I thought it was so explainy for no reason. I'm like,
But I think you thought that because you already knew who the character was. I didn't know any of that.
But I think there were more dynamic ways you could introduce a lot of that information. I think that the choice to like use the framing device and like the outermost framing device of Wonder Woman in modern day, looking back and like thinking about her past, and then doing this whole, then shifted to her mom kind of becoming the voice, telling the story of like her origin, and then those like weird juxtaposition. They cut between this like very typical superhero movie like stylized flashback to explain the origin of things, and then also her training montage. They those should not be cut between. Like that sequence should have been a sequence unto itself, because it was so weird every time it cut to like, oh, now she's training to fight, and now we're back to this like painting style Zeus versus Ares kind of sequence. Oh, and now we're back to her learning to fight, and then and this is the tragedy of man. It was very awkward, and I think a way more dynamic way of introducing the character, her set of beliefs, and the world that she comes from is if the movie opened with the crash into Themyscira from Steve Trevor, open with a dogfight, do the outer framing device of like future Diana, and then like cut back to an actual World War I dogfight where then the plane goes down, and as it's going through the mist, all of a sudden it sees the island in its glory, and then Diana saves this guy, and we find out about her world briefly.
I think though having seen her as a child also does endear you to the character too. I think there's more than yes, there is plenty of exposition, and could they have found a different way, more dynamic way to do it? Yes, but I think it is also important in actually getting to like the character a little bit more and seeing her grow up. And it also there are also big issues of the questions of her background and her origin, which that ties to.
So that's my problem with the way the movie starts is the questions of her origin are so unclear and are so muddy throughout this. Like there's the story of she was made out of clay. Her mom wanted her so badly she made it out of clay, and Zeus breathed life into her. But then they go into the story of and then Zeus fought Ares and died in his final act. And then years later, I made you into clay. So how did Zeus breathe life into her if he was already dead? There's a huge
stuff was a little.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Isn't that mythology?
Yes, but if I'm a kid and my mom's like, "Well, your dad died when 30 years ago." Well, I'm 15, so how the fuck did Dad knock you up if he's dead? She never put that together.
Did they say that he was dead? They said that he didn't have any power.
His final act, and he died.
I didn't get that he died, but I got that he no longer had power. But the other thing I would say is that I think it's intended to be muddy, because she doesn't get it. So it's not going to be clear, because it's not clear to her until the very final confrontation.
Okay, but still, Like, I would have questions about that.
But I think the whole thing is that she is so naive that I don't think she questions things that she should have been questioning all along. Like there's several things about that. Like the whole like the training thing is like something she's just interested in, and she never questions like, why does her mother want to keep her, the only person on the island, to keep her from it?
Which is another dumb plot point, because she ends up, spoiler alert, she ends up being the weapon to fight that, the God Killer herself. If she's the God Killer and the fear is Ares is coming back, and this is the weapon that you need in order to kill a god, why would you not train that weapon?
Because she doesn't view her as just a weapon.
But it's also denial. It's she, like Connie Nielsen's character saying, well, we don't even know if he's going to come back, which is like complete, like she knows as she's saying it, like that's ridiculous and that she should have made different choices. But I think it's also that she didn't feel like she herself was able to be innocent and be a child. And so she was like, let her be a child, let her be a child. It's not rational. But I think that's her emotional response is like, I'm her mother and I want to protect her. But her sister is the one who sees like that.
That's stupid.
That's stupid. Yeah.
Right.
And she can't confront her about it. So she just does it behind her back.
Nah, that was stupid.
Well, there's a character who agreed with you.
Yeah. Robin Wright's the best. She really is. She had that brief moment with Sean Penn, but we're going to forgive her for it, okay? We're going to let that go. Other than that, she's been fantastic. But yeah, that was my major gripe with the story. It was just like her origin made no sense. Like her whole backstory just really just doesn't like.
A lot of the mythology in general didn't also, because Ares was using lightning throughout the whole thing, and like was that he got struck by lightning of Zeus and then was holding on to it, and then he struck Wonder Woman at the end, and then she held on to it. Like, is that the lightning bolt of Zeus? Like,
he's only got one.
That, I mean, that's sort of the thing.
But I don't think so.
That's how he died.
Defeated and he
They're like,
was
Zeus,
on
keep
Earth
doing it.
with
He's
no
like, I only got
power.
one.
It was just, there's weird details here. It's like the way, I think generally speaking it was really well done, but then there was like choices of like, we're gonna do this particular effect as opposed to like what the scene was doing, but it's like, okay, well, it's gonna be a lightning bolt shot as opposed to like an energy blast of some kind.
Well,
or like,
I felt he was doing his best Emperor Palpatine impression.
Oh, there was so much Star Wars.
Magneto,
Yeah.
like crazy.
So much Star Wars. Join me, and together we can rule. Yeah,
I liked Ares, however, up until he put armor on himself. I thought
you didn't like the armor?
It was so goddamn stupid. Like, it's not like it made him more powerful. Like,
that's fair.
And all of a sudden, he was just Magneto. It was just like, this is the token supervillain fight. I would have much rather his shadow looked like the classic Ares like comic book look.
Yeah.
But even the Ares look of the comics is all over the place. Like,
that is true.
Him as I forget the actor's name, but
David Thewlis.
Yeah,
Wasn't he in Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Yes, he
Who
was.
did he play in Harry Potter?
I forget the character's name, but he's like
He's one of the professors, right? Is that
Lupin.
Lupus?
Yeah.
Lupin.
Yeah, the werewolf.
Remus Lupin. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was such a great choice for Ares. Like, when,
Yeah.
the second I realized that it was the fake out coming,
Because as soon as you see him and they give the big boom.
Yeah, they do it. Well, because they do it when he gives them the money.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, he's the bad guy.
yeah, I was like, oh, this is gonna be great.
I actually thought he was going to end up being Zeus, and Zeus was going to end up being the ultimate bad guy at that point.
Oh.
But,
That would have been better.
Yeah.
But it's also that thing like when you see like a very well-known actor in a small part, you're like, it's not.
He's
It's
great
not a
in
small
this, yeah.
part.
Yeah.
It's the Law and
Although they
Order
were all
thing.
over the place,
The
'cause
Law and
I-
Order guest star. You're the murderer, Britney Spears. I know.
Like when Robin Wright was killed, I was like, wait, is she actually dead? Like, she's way too big of a character for this tiny part.
Yeah.
Roughly
She
speaking.
had
Like,
she had other things to shoot.
House of Cards.
House of Cards.
Yeah, I was
I know. No, but like I thought he was so much more dynamic as like this like effete British like noble as opposed to like, oh, now I'm gonna be Magneto with spikes. Like, I can have swords fly around. Like that's not. He wasn't a compelling physical threat for like. His greatest threat was that he was like actually starting to make sense to her. And I think that the physical component was just kind of boring, and he might as well not have been armored up. He could have just as easily been doing it.
He was kicking our ass without the armor.
Exactly. Like, I thought he was way cooler when he was like kind of an illusion, and then all of a sudden he broke the sword or the penis, whatever you want to call it. Like he was
I
just
mean, you're right.
yeah, I mean, that's exactly what that scene was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to look at that again. The dildo of destiny.
No sharp edges.
But I really liked him as a villain, and like
Yeah, I
that
did too.
concept of like him actually proposing an armistice to be both tempt people to, but also to put them always on edge in a position of war was
Yeah.
a really good take on Ares. Like that was really cool, and the challenges morally that he presented to her was really good. Like,
Yeah.
I would have liked to have a better sense of who the other guy was, and I'm sure that there's a deep dive.
What other
reference.
The
red herring.
general. Yeah, the
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
And I
whatever
just
he
can't
was.
remember off the top of my head. But
I was fine with that. He just needed to be sort of the
oh, I know. I
menacing
liked him being
Yeah.
a red herring. I would have. It was such a big effect for him, like for his like super strength gas. And again, like I said, it's probably a character who, second someone says it, I'll be like, oh, of course.
Well, we
But-
did kind of have one with the woman, the inventor. She her
Dr.
last name,
Moreau?
yeah. Was it Moreau or Morrow? Like as in T.O. Morrow or.
She was.
Oh, that's interesting.
I thought she like because when they first named her, they said Morrow, so I assumed it was a connection with.
Well, it was like Dr. Poison.
It's Dr.
Right.
Poison, which is like was the original.
Is that the original?
That's the
There's a
original
villain.
villain.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the original villain for Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Was that character in the comic books? I remember reading that, not because I read the comic books. Just going on
Still have your
record.
manhood, Ben. Don't worry. It's still there.
They're still there.
I've
I can
read a lot of the comics. Like I did did Wonder Woman fan fiction in college.
Oh, case.
Like, but there's a long history, and some of the characters
I bet.
stand out more than others.
Yeah.
Just like go through his closet when you get to his house.
No, I've seen them. I know. There's some things you don't want to admit on the internet.
That's what a pen name.
This
is
was
for.
all on the internet.
You put some up on CPOV on the website?
I'd have to see if I can actually get it back because it was at.
Because right now the police have it?
It's currently being held in evidence, but give it 90 days, it'll come out.
If you can get your hands on it, that'd be great.
All right, let's see. So
I enjoyed the music for the movie. I thought the design for the movie looked good.
Oh,
yeah.
Can I talk about that for a second?
Sure.
DC, like the criticism for the previous DCEU movies was that they were also dark and dour and
That worked for this.
depressing. Yeah, but I mean, like the color palette that they chose for this movie is so dark and depressing. It is
especially
so-
in contrast to the Paradise Island scenes, like
Right.
Yes.
which are so bright and colorful. Like,
Yes, I found it distracting because it was so dark, and it did kind of make me go, "Oh, we're still in the DCU. Like it's nothing's really changed." Like,
But I thought that again. I thought that lent itself to the story, and thematically, I thought it worked. That was never my problem with Batman versus Superman with the look. I mean, the problem was plot. And
well, yeah, that
characters.
was a major
Well,
problem.
and I think
for sure.
the darkness is appropriate, and considering the setting, like during the Great War, like
Yeah.
I didn't find it distracting because like literally they're setting this up as at the time like the worst war the world's ever seen, you know? So like
Yeah.
And if
it
you,
was-
They just wait
you watch
30
a war
years.
movie
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's the color palette.
Right.
Like you watch.
No, it's black and white. World War One's black and white.
Oh, no, thanks. Thanks.
and silent.
I was there.
No
All
audio.
All Quiet on the Western Front has
Yeah.
a fairly similar color palette to this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
I just thought it was interesting because like all the talk
Did
about
you
how
want like a Guardians of the Galaxy type World War One in the trenches?
oh that would be the best.
well, let's compare it with Captain America because there's
Yeah.
a lot of shots that look very
Almost
similar to Captain
identical,
America. Like,
yeah.
there's definitely some settings that are either the same or just happen to look the same. Like, and part of it might just be this is what Europe kind of looks like.
Right.
But especially like when they were like
in that little town.
There was like one chunk where they were riding against a German blockade, and it was like almost the exact same shots as in Captain
Yeah.
America, with the same like here's like a sparsely like a not very dense like forest for them to move through, and like oh here's the road, and here's like the Germans up ahead,
Well,
and like
they're
he's
fighting
on a
in
motorcycle,
France,
it's
in the
Yeah.
Steve on a
cold.
motorcycle
Yeah.
racing towards
Yeah.
it. Like,
Well, and
Steve and
isn't-
Steve on a motorcycle.
yeah.
Isn't there also like what's the Peggy Carter photo where she has like all those raiders?
The Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's very similar too.
Yeah, this is very much like Captain America meets Thor, like just brought
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
But it works pretty well because that
Yeah.
is the character, and I think the movie made a really good choice of World War One. It's such a morally gray war, and everything is so terrible that I loved all of that as a dive for the character. I thought that her powers, I think, there were a few points where I was like, wait, how did she know she could do that? But she didn't seem to know that she could do that before. Like, I feel like either she should have been getting stronger as it goes. It should have been the old rules where she didn't have her powers on Themyscira, but when she left, she always had her powers. Or they should have been like
some
unlocked
sort of training,
when she was like coming out, and like it clicked in, because all of a sudden she was climbing up a wall by like pounding holes in it, and she had no idea. And I'm like, I feel like you would have realized you could break stuff with your hands that easily.
Well, but don't you think it's the thing that during the training scene where they keep saying like, you have to believe in yourself,
more
you have to
powerful
believe that
than
you're
you
more
know.
powerful than
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was the thing that in my head was running through. Like, she was getting stronger throughout the course of the movie, and even at the end, like, it wasn't that Steve died that allowed her to defeat Ares, or that she experienced that. It was that she finally like put her full faith in herself and did it. That was the one thing I appreciated, because I was like, okay, great, now it's going to be like, finally, because you've experienced the power of love, that's how you can defeat people. But I think she says something to that effect, but it's really just that she accepts her power and the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah, just own up to your own strength kind of scenario. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought it's also pretty significant that the film's directed by a woman. I don't know how many of the other recent DC and Marvel movies have been directed by women.
This is the only one.
So this is the only superhero movie directed by a woman,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, she
Unless you
was
count the
actually,
Wachowskis.
she was supposed to originally direct Thor 2, but she fell off because she didn't like the story that they wanted her.
She made a good choice.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a good choice.
So yeah, I was really happy with this movie.
Yeah, it's certainly a vast improvement for anything that the DC universe has put out thus far. Vast, and it's better than a lot of Marvel movies.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got any closing statements or yes?
We're
Anything
closing?
to add?
I feel like I haven't said anything.
What do you want to say?
Other than some snide remarks.
That's what
Now you're on the spot.
No, I haven't
What
said-
you got?
So, backtracking, I'm with you with the whole Steve Trevor thing. I kind of felt like it was a cop-out to have them hook up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I told these guys this in the car ride back. I was torn because I felt like it was her completely embracing humanity and what it stood for and
Literally.
what it could be. But at the same time, I kind of wanted her to have that moment where she was just like, I don't need a guy to like
Right.
feel connected or complete me or anything like that.
Because that's what the books came to the conclusion.
Yeah.
of, right? So she should
I wonder- I
have
wonder
come to
if-
the same conclusion.
I wonder if it would have felt more authentic if that love scene, that culmination, had happened like a few beats later. Because for me, at that point, when they've just had their first big success in that town in Belgium, she's still like, oh, the world, like I'm so curious about it, and I'm so naive, and I like don't understand, interpersonal relationships, and this is a way for her to figure it out, as opposed to like her being fully self-realized and self-actualized, and then like making that decision as like an actualized person.
Yeah.
I think that would have been stronger, but I don't know exactly how they would have fitted in either that way.
I'm actually not mad that they had sex, because it is like, it would have been weird to a certain extent if they just didn't, like if she just completely rejected it just because it's like, well, why is she rejecting it? Would this have been the same in a reversed like gender scenario? And this is what we were kind of saying after the movie about like Steve Trevor is just a really hard character to do. Like, is he interesting? Like, is he a love interest? Is he a mentor? Where does he fall in the spectrum? And like, I think that it was fine. It was like,
it wasn't
fine.
gratuitous. It wasn't completely
No.
out of the blue where you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah, it wasn't like, let's have a sex scene for the sake of a sex scene. It was like, they got
And
together.
it wasn't even
Like,
a sex scene. Like,
Right.
it was just
no,
like,
it wasn't.
It was like the old style, like, and now we will pan
Cut to the
exactly.
stove.
And the next
Cut to the
morning,
fireplace. Which was
Kind of going
disappointing,
on.
I mean, to be honest with you.
Other thing I liked that I don't think anyone's brought up, in the original Super Friends, Wonder Woman was the secretary. That was like her first
Yeah.
job.
Oh, really?
And in the first season,
And
yeah.
actually, in
So
Justice
that's why it was
Society,
such
she
a-
was too.
Yeah, yeah, in
like
Justice
she was,
Society.
like she wasn't a member. She was.
Yeah, she was the
secretary.
secretary. That's why it was so great when they were like, she's like, a secretary, what is that? And she's like, that's slavery. That's what we call slavery where I
Yeah.
come from. And then when he introduces her as a secretary, and she just kind of looks at him like, don't ever call me anything else but a secretary. So I really like that as well.
It was a nice reference, yeah.
Oh, I can keep going?
Well, you said you had stuff to add.
Don't let me stop you.
I thought you were like spewing forth with everything.
I think it's funny, like how you guys, what we were kind of ending on. I think this is the first time that whole dark,
Palette.
palette has really worked for the DC universe, and it kind of makes me wonder if part of that was having a woman as a lead. Like that.
In what way?
Her sense of because even Wonder Woman's colors were brighter than everything else.
Right.
Like actually having a woman be the forefront and kind of break everyone
Being
else
the
out of their
being
train
the
of thought of
brightness.
this is war, this is how things have to be, this is how we have to do things, and being no, this is
It's
how
a completely
things
different point of view.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's like a beacon.
Like a
of
certain
brighter
point
light.
of
Yeah.
view.
Yeah. I think it's her gender, but I think it's also her character,
Yeah.
of the Justice League superheroes that are in the movie, because those are the only ones I know. She's the only one who has that kind of optimistic thing, right? Like Batman's just the world is terrible. And it always is.
Barry Allen.
Actually,
He's pretty
Superman and
optimistic.
Flash both kind of fall into that.
But I mean, in the same way where she's
Not the DCU
ultimately, I believe
Superman.
people are good. I wasn't
I'm
thinking
saying
about
more
Superman.
in the
Yeah.
general concept as
Yeah,
opposed to
Yeah.
but
this
in the
particular-
in the
yeah.
movies, you're right.
Yeah.
He's really morbid and depressed.
Pretty
God, I
weird.
hate him so much.
I think it'll be interesting to see if they can maintain that in the Justice League movie that's yet to come out.
Seems like it because you got a pretty fun Flash, and then you got Jason Momoa who is
to be
just
having
hamming the fuck up,
Super
man.
Cal Drogo.
Did you guys see the Hawkeye video?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
that he did with
That was really
Mark
good.
Hunt. Yeah, that's gonna be a good fight. Can't
It's
wait for
gonna
that
be a
fight.
I just really hope that they've done so much with her in this movie. I really hope that when Justice League happens, I don't want her to be
shoved to the side.
yeah.
Right.
Well, it seems
Well, it
like they're
looks like he's in a
keeping
leading role.
her and Bruce Wayne are going to be like the two major forces in that,
Yeah.
and the others are just going to be, Cyborg's going to be fodder.
Yeah.
Nobody likes him.
Yeah.
And
Jeff Johns does.
honestly, I don't think we've said it, but Gal Gadot, I was surprised. Like when they first cast her, I was like, I don't know, because I love Wonder Woman and I kind of just didn't see it.
Yeah.
But now actually seeing the movie, I'm like, you know what? Props, you did it.
Yeah,
I don't know
thought she
if
did
I
well.
call it perfect because I have my own little view of Wonder Woman in my head. And maybe I'm mad that I didn't have sex with a god. Maybe that's part of it.
If I had sex with Gal Gadot tonight, I would blow myself up. I tell you that right now. Because there's no way I could go home to Jenny and live anyway.
Where's the nearest hydrogen plant?
Side note, the whole thing about the gas being hydrogen based, I kept thinking shouldn't that just mean if you have a torch you're fine, it'll just burn up all the gases it comes towards
I
you?
kind of thought, I was like, the science on this is a little
That's too
weak.
much. It's too much logic.
Yeah, you guys are working on another level.
That would've been great. That would've been great for the plane,
stuff is
though.
also a little weird.
If he's like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got a
I
lighter.
stopped it.
I got a lighter. I'm okay.
A lot of the crazy comic booky stuff was just a little weird, and that's the only thing that I didn't really care for across the board. What
do you mean?
The science being a little off, the
okay.
magic being a little
Okay, yeah.
hard to explain. The gods are kind of muddled. The Amazons have been all over the place in comics. They used to be super scientists that all had superpowers, and then at other times they were just Greek warriors. And then for some reason they all know Ottoman, and they know
Even though
modern
they've never-
languages,
even
even
though
though
they've
they have
never-
no contact.
yeah.
It's not magic. They just know everything for some reason. So it's
that
muddy,
library they
but
have.
it was fine. I enjoyed
Yeah, I
it all.
didn't
The
mind
movie
that.
was good, but it was just any logic applied to the outside the realm of here's the simple story of a perfect being coming and seeing humanity at its worst.
Yeah.
That is a little funky.
Overall, it worked though, right?
But yeah, it worked. I liked it.
Does this do anything for your expectations for Justice League?
Who's directing
Very
Justice
low.
League?
Well,
Two people now, technically.
Joss Whedon is finishing it up according
that's
to
right.
Zack Snyder's vision. Is what the
Yeah, there are very, very strict controls over
But-
what Joss is allowed to do.
Well, but
But
also,
Whedon's already been more.
we've seen some radical reshoots in the past for movies that
Yeah.
have definitely done not a
Shifted.
good job. It could be a great director coming in to do a reshoot that can definitely shift a movie in a weird way just because the original material just doesn't match up to it.
But
you know?
Whedon had, before Snyder departed the movie, Whedon was already part of helping him reshoot and rework the movie. So. So he's already. So it's not like he just started doing that just 2 weeks ago when
Yeah.
Snyder left the movie. So that it'll be interesting to see just how extensive of a rework this movie
You'll never know.
is.
You'll
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
Well, unless it's like Rogue One where you can kind of see it.
Yeah, Rogue One was really obvious. I don't think you'll get that obvious
Yeah.
on this one. I think it'll be good. I have high hopes for it.
Whoa.
Whoa, that's
What,
Who are you and
was
what have you
Joss
done with
Whedon
Ben?
involved with any of the other previous DC movies?
Exactly.
no previous DC
Got away
movies.
with it too.
Joss Whedon was not previously involved with the DC movies, but he was the person who directed Avengers 1 and 2.
I mean, knowing that he's involved would make me more excited for Justice League, just
But
because.
he's just finishing the movie though. Like we don't know
Well,
how.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, also having just seen first of all,
Yeah.
seeing Wonder Woman makes me more excited because I didn't like any of the previous Batman and Superman on their own movies. But knowing that Joss Whedon's there, I think he will better be able to balance a variety of characters who are all really, really well developed, because that's one of the things that he's known for is showing that kind of level of detail throughout.
Yeah, and keeping it fun and interesting and keeping the pacing. I thought the pacing on this it felt long. The movie felt long to me, but
It wasn't short though.
But
It
that was
felt long.
Yeah.
that was what I
yeah.
liked most about this movie, and we talked about this. As I said, this was the first time I felt like the
They only
DC
told one
cinematic
story.
universe actually took their time
and
That's
told
true.
a story.
and told a story. Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of trying to tell
Yeah.
every story and touch on every point of every character,
Right.
and every cameo, and every costume design. It's like, let's tell a story.
Yeah, which was smart.
Can we speculate a little bit about the Justice League movie though?
Yeah,
'Cause
sure.
We know who
Everybody does.
we know who the bad guy is.
Supposedly it's Steppenwolf, but I'm assuming it will be Darkseid.
Well, yeah. So it's Darkseid. Even if it's Steppenwolf, it's still the new
It's
gods.
still Darkseid,
And
yeah.
guess what? We just labeled one of the main characters.
A new god.
No, the God Killer.
Oh, interesting.
Like, so we definitely have set up Wonder Woman as being pivotal for that specific purpose. Like, it's not just Superman's going to show up and save the day. We've established that Wonder Woman probably is the one who actually has to do the final thing.
You don't think Superman's going to come in and save the day?
Superman might save the day to, like, open up the shot for Wonder Woman to get in, but if they're actually smart and tying things together, which is not necessarily the way it works.
That's
Giving him a lot of credit there.
I think also everybody's going to expect Superman to be
No, I think
one who does the
Superman's
kill
going to
shot.
is going to be a bad guy for most of the movie.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually kind of like that.
That could be interesting if it was like the story arc where like Darkseid was like in control of Superman's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Brings him back and uses him as a weapon.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
because
that-
you don't see him in any of the trailers thus
Well,
far.
but he's supposed to be dead.
He's supposed to be dead, but
We've
we
seen
all know
shots
he's
of him
gonna
in
be
like the
back.
resurrection suit.
Yeah.
We also saw
yeah.
Finn dead in the Finn in the Bacta tank.
Yeah, this could actually be an interesting if they were to tie it together, where the reason why the gods are gone and like Zeus sort of like his last moments was to create like Themyscira and like to protect the Amazons and whatnot, is like the waning of the third world, and then the fourth world comes from that. So like this whole creation story for Wonder Woman is part of the creation of the new gods. Could have been.
You
kind
think
of-
they'll be able to
I
squeeze
think
that
they're
into
really
a movie?
hoping that.
Oh, I don't think they could
No.
squeeze it into the movie, but I think that could be the backstory for things.
I
Like,
think you're
that's-
really hoping they put a lot more thought into
I know, I am. I am.
You're going deep cuts on this,
Because they're
man.
going into Kirby. Like, they need to know what they're doing with that. Like when Kirby is
We're
just
talking
winging it, it gets
now.
weird.
We're talking about the same guys who put Doomsday in a movie because he looks cool.
And made him out of Zod.
Yeah, when they,
With an autistic Lex Luthor. Like,
with Jolly Ranchers and a jar of pee.
And basketball.
Yeah.
Never would I thought I'd see Lex Luthor playing basketball. You know?
That's right.
Got a jump shot.
yeah, I
no,
You're not
I
getting
know,
it.
I know.
You're not getting
Yeah.
it.
I know.
This is the same guy who wrote Martha.
Why did you say that name?
Yeah.
Well, I am slightly more optimistic for Justice League. After
Only
this
slightly?
movie.
Well, you were you high on it before?
Justice League?
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
So like on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you on Justice League?
6.
In terms of
Only a
excitement.
6?
Yeah.
In terms
Really?
of excitement.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
higher
probably a
than that.
4.
Oh, really? Oh,
I'm not
Really?
excited for Justice League at all. I'm
What
scared.
the hell's wrong with me, guys? What is in these?
I'm more excited for the Aquaman movie.
When you
Yeah.
when you put that many characters into a movie, it's like cooking, and we've already seen some of the ingredients.
Yeah.
Do you want to eat what they're cooking right now?
Well, and not to mention how many cooks are in this kitchen.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little messy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
What the hell? What is?
Man, the voice of DC Comics.
I'm like at a 7 or 8 on this movie.
Really?
7 or 8?
Yeah.
What?
I mean,
Ben has, ladies and
we
gentlemen,
watched
Ben has
the
been
trailer.
taking drugs to finish the weight loss challenge. Kids, don't do drugs.
Started a coke habit.
Don't do drugs.
Maybe. Yeah. After seeing this movie, it went up like 1 or 2 points.
wow.
Yeah, I was a 5 on this movie going into it. I was like, it could be good, it could be bad. Who knows what we'll get? I think I came out with like a 7,
Yeah.
which bumps up Justice League quite a bit for me because I think they'll look at this and go, all right, we're doing it right. Like we're on the right track. Keep doing it. Like, and then you add Joss Whedon to the project.
Do you think?
And Joss Whedon's a goddamn genius with this stuff. He's a goddamn genius.
I just don't know how much he can do or how much
He was
can
already
shoot or...
advising Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder had already had been
But was
defanged.
Zack Snyder listening?
Yeah, but Zack Snyder has already been defanged.
There are people that are advising our current president.
Well, I think Elon Musk just left that council.
I want to think that even Jeff Johns is better than who's advising our current president. Okay, like I don't love Jeff Johns, but I'm thinking he's better than Steve Bannon. Okay, I'm not willing to put that on that poor guy. All right.
All of a sudden, there's just Pepe Supermans everywhere. Man, that Batman, he's such a globalist cuck.
So I'm high on it. All right.
You know, with that bit of optimism, we're gonna have to go out on that. So let us
Seriously,
know.
what is in these?
You said you're what? You're high on it. That's what I thought.
Damn it!
That's Angel Dust, Ben. That's not sour. That's not sour.
Well, let us know what you think about Wonder Woman. If you thought we were off, if there's something we missed, you can let us know. Just go to our website. You can find all our social media right there, certainpov.com. And until next week, stay scruffy, my nerve herders.
Thanks for listening to Certain Point of View. Don't miss an episode. Just subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on iTunes. Head over to certainpov.com.